Hello, dear viewers. Namaskar. Welcome to Moksha Media. You are with Moksha Hiremat. The first part and second part of the 19th century and the first part of the 20th century, Christian missionaries in India played a dominant role. Most of you may have heard the names of some of those missionaries. One of them is Basel Mission Evangelical Mission. That is Basel Evangelical Mission. Anyhow, it is a Protestant mission. That is, Protestantism is a part of Christianity with a different goals and with a different activities. Of course, in the 18th, 19th and 20th century, that Protestant mission played a dominant role in Christianity. It opposed papacy. It did not accept the rule and role of Pope, and it condemned the Pope's intention. It did not believe in selling the tickets for moksha. So he gave an alternative to that notion. It did not accept any agent between man and God. So, in some cases, it opposed, or most of the cases, it opposed the papacy prevailed at that time. Especially German missionaries played a prominent role in those eras. And some of the missionaries, some of the reverends had come to India for proselytization. That is, they had come to India and to other parts of India, states of India, for sake of proselytization, that is, for the conversion of the people to Christianity. But some of them went beyond the conversion because they thought that first and foremost humanity was important. They gave importance to human beings, to the nature of human beings, and they tried their best to bring humanity into the society. And Reverend Hermann Friedrich Mogling was one of them. He studied theology at the University of Tübingen in Germany. Then he was sent to India, and that is to Karnataka. So when he came to Karnataka, he studied Kannada. Before that time, we did not know any alphabet of Kannada. Without knowing Kannada, he simply came to Karnataka and stayed at Mangalore and Kurk, that is Kodagu. But he mastered the language of Kannada in 7 years. To what extent he mastered Kannada, you could not imagine nowadays. Not only that, he was able to write in Kannada, and he understood Kannada literature and classics in its originality, and he contributed so many literary works to the language and literature of Kannada. In that matter, Mogling was a fantastic one. Even today, some of the persons who stay and live here for so many years and lifelong do not know Kannada. They do not understand Kannada. They don't know how to speak in Kannada. But in the 19th century, that is at the time of 1801 AD, that is in the first part of the 19th century, those missionaries came to Karnataka and learned Kannada and spoke Kannada and wrote in Kannada, and that too they produced a good literary text in Kannada. Even so many Kannadigas who claim that they are Kannadigas cannot do it. But those missionaries did it. Of course, the purpose might be different one. In the given political situations, that was common. But those missionaries, that is some of the missionaries, went beyond that proselytization and served the humanity in general. And Herman Frederick Mogling was one of them. So he mastered Kannada in 7 years and started so many literary activities. First he collected 3,000 Kannada proverbs. Even the persons who are in Kannada, who are in Karnataka, do not know the proverbs. They know some of the proverbs. They don't understand most of the Kannada proverbs. That is the Kannada sayings. But Reverend Herman Frederick Mogling not only understood those proverbs, but he collected those proverbs. He listed 3,000 Kannada proverbs and he published them. So you imagine to what extent that Mogling was talented. And not only that, he became an epoch one, or he created his own epoch, his own era, by starting a journal, that too Kannada journal. He started the Kannada newspaper for the first time in Karnataka. He titled it Mangaluru Samachara. Mangaluru Samachara is considered as the first Kannada newspaper in Karnataka. It was a fortnightly. At that time, printing was not yet in an advanced stage. But by using these stone fonts, that is lithoscopic printing, I think that is called. He printed that magazine fortnightly, and it was published up to 3 or 4 years. Then the place of publication was changed from Mangalore to Bellary, a city now in northern Karnataka, at that time was under the Madras presidency. So that Mangalore Samachara was renamed as Karnataka Samachara, and when it was renamed, it was published from Bellary. In one way or another way, this helped to the notion of the Karnataka as a whole. That is, it put a foundation stone for the unification of Karnataka in one way or another way, knowingly or not knowingly. So that was a kind of magic. Especially East India Company did not want Karnataka to be unified or India to be unified. Their motto was to divide and rule. But the activities of these missionaries helped indirectly to the unification of Karnataka. And Mangalore Samachara, renamed as Karnataka Samachara, did its work in the unification of Karnataka. So, he not only collected 3000 Kannada proverbs, but started a Kannada newspaper. That is why that Reverend Herman Frederick Mogling is considered as father of Kannada journalism. So his birthday is also being celebrated every year. And he contributed nearly 36 literary works to Kannada literature and language. And Bibliotheca Karnataka is one of the important literary works of Mogling. He published that Bibliotheca Karnataka in 6 volumes. It contained 8 episodes. The first one is Ravana Digvijaya, that is a kind of Yakshagana Prasanga, and the largest episode is Basava Purana, and the smallest one is Haribhakta Sara of Kanakadasa. So he published these literary pieces not in Germany but in Karnataka itself. At that time the name of Karnataka was not there. It was simply divided into so many parts. That is Mysore province, Madras presidency, Mumbai presidency, and Coorg, etc. etc. That is Nizam's provinces. Some of the districts were under Hyderabad Nizam, and others were under the rule of Bombay presidency and Madras presidency, and another part was under Mysore Wadiyars, and etc. etc. But these missionaries went beyond it, and they created literature for common people, and they published it in Kannada. It is not that much of easy at that time. Now we are in a digital era. If we click a mouse sitting in a corner of a room, we can get all information within seconds. But at that time, gathering information itself was a problem. Transport was not there. They used foot and etc. etc. And in such a position that Mogling travelled here and there and collected proverbs. Not 1, 2, but 3000 Kannada proverbs. And you see, he understood Basava Purana and he gave a new name to Ravana Digvijaya, a Yakshagana Prasanga, which is a very important drama form. Now, not only that, he especially he considered Kurg, that is Kodagu, as his homeland, as his second home. So, he wrote thus Kurgland in the language of Germany. And he also wrote in Kannada Rajendra Name in Kannada at the behest of senior Veera Rajendra. And he loved and liked Kodagu like anything, His love knew no bounds regarding Kodagu, that is Markera at that time. It was called as Kurg at that time. And even today it is called, but Madikeri is also another name of that Kurg. And not only that, he wrote Kurg memoirs in which he displayed the life of Kodavas, their traditions, their dishes, their activities, etc., etc. It is a kind of history on Kodagu. Of course, most of them considered it as the first history book in the language of Kannada regarding Karnataka. Anyhow, like that he went on and on contributing so many things. And he wrote some 20 poems in Kannada, and he translated the songs of Kanakadasa, Purandaradasa and other dasas into German language, and he published it under a title Dasara Padagalu. I think they are 170 in number. In that book, most of the Dasaru are mentioned. Their songs are extracted, their kirtanas extracted and published. Not only that, he also wrote so many other things. He started a project that is a Kannada English dictionary. And he advised the government to fund that project. And more than that, he suggested the name of Reverend Ferdinand Kittel at the head of that Kannada English dictionary. That Kittel's Kannada English dictionary created a history of its own in the history of dictionaries in Kannada and in southern part of India, and not only southern part of India, in the northern part of India also. To that extent, it has reached its climax in compiling dictionaries. That is the contribution of Kittel, no doubt about it. But for that, we have to remember Mogling, who suggested the name of Ferdinand Kittel. So like this Mogli, that is Mogling, Reverend Herman Friedrich Mogling contributed a lot to the Kannada language and literature. And of course he started Barcel's evangelical missions, theological Satya Society, and later it was named as the Theological College at Mangaluru. And in 2011, I think, his birthday, his 200 years birthday was celebrated. At that time, a bust of Mogling was unveiled at Mangaluru. And by that, the Karnaticians pay their homage to Mogling, and by that they remember the name of Mogling by honoring him by sculpting a bust of him. So like this, the Karnaticians honor him. The point is, they came to Karnataka as missionaries but they did the work of humanity, but not the proselytization. They did proselytization, they converted so many people into Christianity, but that is not the main aim of them. Even though Basel mission sent them for conversion, but these missionaries, some of the missionaries, persons like Mogling and Kittel, gave not that much of importance for conversion to Christianity, but they gave importance to the humanity and they served the humanity. That is why they do not become Christians in the real sense, but they are the human beings in the real spirit. So that is why, whether it is Karnataka or Indian, whether it is Hindu or Muslim or Christian or so many other religions in India, Jain, Buddha or others and others, remember Mogling and Kittel as their persons, as their friends, as their partners. And that is the spirit of humanity of such people. Such people are very important for the developing society, for the advancement of the society. So that is why Mogling is remembered for these activities. See, it is not that much of easy contributing 36 literary works in the language which was not his mother tongue, Even so many persons who claim Kannada as their mother tongue are unable to write the literary pieces. But in such a position, Mogling and Kittel learnt Kannada, which was not their mother tongue, and wrote in that Kannada. It is not simple writing, but it is a classical writing. That Bibliotheca Karnataka becomes a classic one. So like this, Mogling contributed a lot to the development of Kannada language and literature. That is what we have to remember when we think of these persons, when we study these persons. They are the persons of humanity, but not any of other things. That is what I had in mind regarding those personalities. I hope you know the importance of these things, especially in nowadays situation in Karnataka and in India. So, subscribe and share it. See you in the next episode. Thank you. Namaskar.